Well, my favourite mechanical keyboard has finally got an update. NuPhy have kindly sent us in the Halo65 V2. Now, I absolutely love the Halo range of keyboards, and the 65 is pretty much my favourite of all of them due to its compact nature. So the V2 adds a whole host of new features, as well as 5 colourways. Now, NuPhy have kindly sent us it in the blue, as well as some extra switches, which we'll now test, and some shine-through keycaps. So let's get unboxing and just see how good this new one is. I'm particularly excited to get this in the blue as well because I absolutely love this blue colourway in the photos. I'm hoping it's going to look as good in person. So, opening the box, we have some instructions and some stickers. Keyboard cover, it's just like a dust cover, which is always handy. I always keep that. Then the keyboard itself, which, wow, that is looking stunning, but let's just put that to the side for a sec. And then underneath, we have all our accessories. So as usual with NuPhy, you get a few different switches so you can test the different styles to see which one you prefer. We've got a 2.4G receiver, keycap and switch puller, USB-A to USB-C cable. Let's just take that out here. So you can run it wired or you can charge it if you're running it wirelessly. And some spare keycaps, usually so you can switch it from Mac to Windows. So there we go, yep, as you can see, that is my Windows set of keycaps. Right, let's get this board out and take a look. There she is, that is absolutely stunning. So this is the blue colourway. As I say, there's 5 available, but this to me looks amazing. Now, I got this model sent in with the Raspberry switches, which is a 46G switch, linear, and that feels a little bit heavy, that's quite nice. We do have these new Blush Max switches, which is a slightly lighter linear switch, so we will test some of those out in a minute, but those do feel incredible. Now, as you can see, we've got a nice blue, sort of metallic blue metal frame around the outside, and these incredible, I think the treble shot PVT keycaps. We'll take a look around those in a minute. Now, as always with the Halo range, we do get some amazing lighting options. So let's just quickly turn it on, hopefully some battery power in, so that we can see what this looks like. So there we go. As you can see, it's lighting up all underneath the keycaps, the connection bar, and we get that Halo light bar, let's show it on the bottom, around the actual board itself. It does look incredible in a sort of a dark environment sitting on your desk. And as always with the Halo range, on the top, we have our USB-C port to charge or run wired. We have our little power switch here so you can turn the keyboard off, have it wired or running wirelessly via the 2.4 or Bluetooth within a switch, and it can do 3 Bluetooth devices and 1 2.4. So it's really handy if you're using it with multiple devices. Then finally, we have another little switch here to switch between Windows and Mac, so you can very quickly switch between the character sets for the operating system you're using. That's really handy. Now, on the right-hand side here, you can see a little NuPhy sort of plug. Now, this here is just a little rubber blanking plug, but that allows us to hide our 2.4 dongle. Now, this to me is a really lovely idea because I lose dongles for a pastime. So you can, when you're not using it, store it in the keyboard so you don't lose it at the bottom of the drawer somewhere like I usually do. Now, being a Halo, we do get the little Halo logo at the top here. Now, that's a little magnetic, so you can change that if you wish. But it's just quite a nice little touch. So you can see the lighting all around the actual keys themselves. They are not shine-through keycaps, but I have got the shine-through keycaps to test as well, which we'll check in a little while. But what you do get is the cursor and the F and the J sort of keys have got a little light shining through the key where the little bump is. So not only can you feel where those keys are, you can actually see them in the dark. That's a really nice little feature. Now, as we look around the underside of the keyboard, let's just quickly just tear that off. We've got a nice NuPhy plate underneath, as well as 2-stage feet, so that you can obviously get the right incline on your desk for typing. I do like mine quite high, so I've usually got the 2nd stage up, and wow, that sounds and feels amazing. As always with Halo range, the sound and the feel of this keyboard is incredible, and they've got it above and beyond with this gasket mounted design for this new range. Now, being that it is a Halo keyboard, you get the usual features, such as the Ghost spacebar. Let me just quickly take that off so you can see. They do actually put a little dampener in there so that the space That feels incredible. So you can see the sort of silicone dampness in there. That's what gives it the feel. And here you can see those raspberry switches. Now I'm going to take a couple more keys off just so that we can take a look at the keys inside. So by default, out of the box, only the characters that shine through show up. So you can see the FJ and the up cursor were showing. I've just switched it now so that they're all shining through. And you'll notice that it's south-facing lighting and it is nice and bright. So if you do use those shine through keycaps, it's going to look incredible. We do have a number of effects that we can use. And this can all be done either in software via the VIA software or just with the hotkeys, switching through all the actual presets that are in here. You do have function up and down for your brightness. Now all of these handy little function keys are held in this nice little poster on the back of the poster. So you've got a poster on one side and on the back you do have all the functions so you can just do it via hotkeys if you don't want to do it via the software. But we will look at the software in a little while. Now, being the Halo range, we do get this Halo light bar that can be adjusted as well, that goes all the way around, either through this actual well here, and also, as I mentioned, underneath there, which looks incredible. And the little bar here will show you when you're connected via Bluetooth or wireless. It will also show you when your caps lock is on or off, and that's a nice little handy feature. Right, so I'm just going to quickly cut there. I'm going to just put the VIA software on my Mac here, and we're going to just start testing the customization via VIA. Then we're going to try some of the switches. Okay, so let's just plug this into my M1 MacBook with Google Chrome installed for the VIA software. I've added the JSON file. All I need to do now is let's just authorize the device. You can see it picks it up, and let's connect. And you can see we're in. So here is our keyboard showing up on the screen. Now this software is very useful. It allows you to change all the key bindings for all the different layers, as well as just look at some of the lighting. So as you can see, we've got the different basic keys maps down here. You've got your media keys, macro keys, layers, special keys, lighting, special keys, and a custom set. You've also got your layers here. So you can see this is our main layer. Then you've got your layer 1. This is for the Mac. So you can see you've got our media keys at the top. Whereas if we look at the Windows key map, you can see then we have the function keys at the top. And all of this can be changed. So it's really handy, loads of customization. But we can also do the lighting. So you can do it on the hotkeys on the keyboard, or we can just change it in here. So let's just quickly, you can see we do the brightness, turn it right off, turn it right on. This is the key colors. So let's just have a solid color, nice cyan sort of color to go with the keys. Now I'm going to go for, let's have a look at gradients. So we have a nice little gradient going on over there. So there's loads of different effects you can choose. And you can cycle through all of these with the actual function key and backward arrow, but sometimes it's just easier to choose the one you want within this list. So really handy bit of software. I know a lot of people like the VIA software. You need to be in a Chrome browser is the only thing. You can also use the QMK app, but I just like doing it in a browser. Right, so now we've looked at the software very briefly. Let's take a quick look at the actual board itself. Now, as I mentioned, this came with the Raspberry switches installed. We're going to do a very quick audio test of the Raspberry switches. So I think that sounds absolutely fantastic. It's got a really nice sort of clack to it. So let's take a few of these keycaps off. So we will switch out a few of the different switches now so you can hear the different switches that we've got. Now the actual switches themselves can be a bit stiff to pull out, so just take your time. Use the actual switch puller part of the included tool. They're actually, to be fair, that's actually not even that stiff. I've had way stiffer switches to remove. So you can see the nice thick plate on here. I'm going to take all of these out so we can try the different switches that we've got. So we've got a mint switch that came in the little pack. You can see the light through the bottom of the switch and you'll see the two little prongs there. Make sure you get it the right way up when you put your new switches in. Otherwise, you just put it straight in. And here's the lemon. So put one of each of those in. And let's also put in some of the blush mats. Now, when you buy your board, not only can you change the color option, you can also choose which switch you actually select with the board. As I say, there's 4 of these switches to choose from. Plus you can buy wrist rests, you can buy the shine through keycaps, which we'll look at in a second, plus different special custom cap sets. There really is a lot on the actual website that you can customize when you're ordering these. So I'm going to put a few of these because I haven't had these blush maxes before, so I'm going to put a few of these in so we can really hear it. There we go. Let's plug the board back in. And you can see the lighting coming through the south facing these, because I think these clear blush switches, that is really showing through. Right, let's get these keycaps back on and let's see what they sound like. Right, there we go. So let's just do a quick sound test. So original raspberry switches. Then if we try the mint, lemon, mint, lemon, and then the blush switches. Wow, those are really quiet. If you're looking for a linear quiet switch, I don't know if you can hear that. You can hardly even hear it bottom out. That is really nice. So raspberry, blush. I am really liking these blush switches. I don't know if you can even hear that on the microphone, but that is really quiet. So then mint, lemon. So I've been playing with these for a little while now, and I must admit I am really liking these blush switches. They feel fantastic, and they are so quiet. I wasn't expecting to like these so much. Now, the raspberry sort of like quite a good mid-spec linear switch, reasonable amount of force. Obviously, the mint is the lightest, and then obviously the lemon's the heaviest. But this one at 46 is definitely medium. And they all feel great, but so far, these blush, I think I'm going to switch all these out for the blush, you know. That is really nice. Certainly will stop annoying Gary when he's sat next to me and I'm typing now. With the switches out of the way, what I want to quickly do is talk about the keycaps and the shine through sets that you can buy. Now these PBT are really high quality. You can see how thick they are. I really like this MSA sort of curved layout, and I loved these sort of beveled sort of keys. They look great and they feel absolutely fantastic. And I really enjoy typing on these keyboards. Now, if you buy the shine through keycap sets, unfortunately they won't be PBT because obviously they want that light to shine through. It's usually the case. So let's see what these look like. This is the Canopus Shine Through in cream. They also do a black version. You can see the large sort of legends, so it's going to let plenty of light through here. So let's put some of these on and take a look. They're quite thick still, they do look good, but they don't feel the same as the PBT, and they're not quite as sort of beveled. They're a little bit sharper. Not a lot though, but they just don't feel as good as the original keys. But obviously, you get that light shining through them. So here we go. You can see obviously the lighting is coming through these keycaps, but it's not as bright as I was expecting, which is a bit of a shame. I was hoping they would be really sort of glowing through, especially with these large legends, but it is quite subtle. So we'll show that in a dark environment. In fact, let's turn a couple of these lights down so that hopefully you can see that. There we go. Now hopefully the camera's picking that up okay. You can see how bright it is without these caps on, but with these creams, obviously, it's not as bright as I was expecting. A little bit disappointing there, but you know, if you want shine through caps, that is the option that you've got. So let's put our original caps back on. I think I would just rather the decent PBT caps that they come with, and just enjoy the light shining in the surround and around the edge of the board itself, which does look fantastic. So back to the board itself. Now, I do normally run this wired, but if you do run it via the 2.4 GHz or Bluetooth, some good news for the V2 over the V1. Not only is this running at 1 kHz or 1000 Hz on wired and 2.4 GHz, it also runs much faster on Bluetooth than the previous V1. We've had great range and connections with that Bluetooth and the wireless as well, so really good news there. And there's also a massive boost in the battery life. You can get up to 180 hours if you just run it with the Halo ring and the actual sort of lit points. And if you want the full lighting on the entire board, you're looking at about 80 hours. Now that's still pretty impressive when you're running all the lights on this because it is a very bright keyboard. Now personally, as I say, I run mine wired just as I'm lazy, but 80 hours with full on lighting, that's still pretty impressive. Now as you can see, I've been using this with a MacBook because it's set up with a Mac out of the box. But as I mentioned earlier on, you can just switch it straight to Windows, pop your Windows keycaps on, and you've just basically got the Windows version of this keyboard. And again, having that kilohertz or 1000 hertz polling rate, it's going to make a great gaming keyboard, especially being this compact. It is a bit weighty to chuck in your bag, but gaming on one of these keyboards feels absolutely fantastic. So we often use these on our gaming rigs. So this Halo65 V2 is available now directly from NuPhy. And if you order it between now and September the 27th, the first 200 orders do get a free wrist rest and everybody gets free shipping. So certainly make sure you get it in early. You can fully customize the keyboard on this site and change the switches and the color. And if you use our MASH10 discount code, you get a bit of extra money off the order as well, which is always handy. And that works on all of NuPhy's products, not just this one. So as always, if you have any questions on this keyboard, pop it in the comment section down below and I will get back to you. And lastly, thanks for watching.